everybody has a little bit of tax-free pay, and that's known as a personal allowance. Everyone's entitled to it, so it's a great thing, and I'm going to show you the numbers in a second. But unfortunately, people do lose the personal allowance if they start to earn mega bucks, which is fair enough, really. You can't argue it. Let's look at some numbers, shall we, first of all? So let's head over to my slides then. Now, here we have a tax sheet. As you know, of course, all the numbers are contained in the tax sheets. Let's zoom in here. Now, as you can see from the figures there, the personal allowance for this tax year is 12,570. It's the same as last year, and it's going to be the same like forever anyway, I think, because they're doing fiscal drag, aren't they? I'm not worried about the married or the marriage allowance, and I'm not worried about the blind person's allowance. They get extra allowance, as you can see. So they're the two important ones. But it's the personal allowance that really matters. As you can see there, everyone's entitled to £12,570 of tax-free pay. How cool is that? You can't argue with that, can you? And for people on minimum wage, normal wages, average wages, it does represent quite a large chunk of your income where you don't have to pay any tax at all. And of course, you do start to lose it, though, the more you start to earn. And I don't think you can see down at the bottom there, it says personal allowance reduced by £1 for every £2 of adjusted net income over £100,000. Basically what that means is if somebody earns more than 100 grand, they're going to lose some of their personal allowance. And that's what I want to share with you right now. So I've got an example to share with you how a high earner can start to lose their personal allowance and not have any tax-free pay. Besides the politics of it all, it is also very useful for pensions planning, and we'll come on to that at the end. I know mortgage advisors don't give pension advice, but you might want to become a financial advisor to be able to do this. So I've got a fictitious customer. Her name is Janine, and Janine has a salary of £110,000. So let's take a look at that visually, shall we? £110,000. And this one's entitled Losing Your Personal Allowance. It's a bit like losing your religion. Was it an REM number, wasn't it? Losing your personal allowance. Now, Janine earns £110,000, so a jolly good salary. Well done, Janine. Now, Janine has a salary, so let's put that into the bucket. Remember my bucket system that I have. Now, Janine has a personal allowance, and in most circumstances, we said it's £12,570. So she would get that amount of her income tax-free, and the rest of it would then be applied at basic rate and high rate. So she'd have quite a big tax bill. Unfortunately, she does earn more than £100,000. So she exceeds the £100,000 limit by £10,000. That's important. Now remember, for every £2 that somebody earns over that £100,000 limit, you lose £1 of your personal allowance. So it's pretty much 50%, isn't it? So this calculation's easy. We reduce her personal allowance by £5,000. It was exceeded by 50% of that. So we reduce her personal allowance by £5,000. So if we look at it graphically then, if we look at the numbers, we've just, reduced her personal allowance. She didn't get as much. And obviously, if she earned a lot more, she'd lose her personal allowance completely. But we're just doing this as an example. So what you need to do now is add the tax. Now, she's still got to pay basic rate tax. So obviously more. There's 37.7 at 20%. So she's still got to pay quite a lot of basic rate tax. But she's also now got to pay more high rate tax as well. So 64,000 at 40%, she's got to pay another 25 grand in high rate tax. Now the important thing about that is if she hadn't lost her personal allowance, or a little bit of her, she would have paid more high rate tax. Another 2 grand in tax she would have been liable to pay, which, in anyone's book is not good, is it? Because she earns that money. So she's kind of got caught in this tax trap, really. Now, what can you do as a financial advisor? Well, there's a number of things. She could take some kind of salary sacrifice, if her employer would allow her, maybe to sacrifice some of the money, put it into a company pension scheme or some other kind of benefits. But quite simply, she could just pay money into a personal pension or a SIP, her own personal contribution, and that would effectively reduce her income, because it did talk about on that tax sheet net adjusted income. So you can reduce your salary effectively with a personal pension contribution, and therefore she would get her personal allowance back. So a couple of grand in the pension would certainly be worthwhile. She'd get a tax relief anyway, but she's going to get her personal allowance back too. So she's going to save herself a couple of grand in high rate tax. So it's certainly something to do. So that's personal allowances then for the current tax year. I hope you found that useful.